so bad. Like, I feel like they never show what I actually look like. And every time I look in a mirror, I'm like, yes, that's an accurate depiction of what we got going on. And then I use a camera, and then it just pisses me off because I'm like, I don't look like that. I don't. I don't. I don't know if anybody else has that problem. I feel like most people have the reverse where um, they feel like they look better like on camera than in person, but I feel like I look better in person. I don't even like this is just ruining my whole vibe right now because I hate this camera quality. Like I don't know why. It's just bugging me. But I did my hair. I haven't shaved in a bit, but I grow hair like my life depends on it. So I try not to be too angry about that, honestly. Um, that's been like circling my mind a lot, and I don't know if it's just because I'm like watching videos about it. But it's just like dating, and like sort of this like silent war between men and women, and feeling like it's kind of like pointless almost, because there are so many like conversations being opened up about it, like just everyone kind of has like their own rhetoric and everyone's kind of bringing up their own historical context to justify um, their belief systems towards it. And like some of the things that, women will say is that, oh, men should be masculine and providers, or women will kind of encourage other women to be like in their feminine and like 100% this, that. And, we also, oh, my back hurts. Oh my god, my shoulders have been so out of whack. But it's just like I just watch that stuff just because I'm like, damn, like, is this who we've become? Like, this is so like boring. Um, I think it's just super odd and strange, and sometimes things are said that I'm like, that's a good point. That's an interesting point of view. That explains a few things, but I guess like my two cents on the whole thing. Like, first off, like somebody once called it the sissy boy pandemic, like where men at the moment don't feel encouraged or like obligated to um, cater to a woman's needs, you know, financially, emotionally, whatever. Um, and, that's kind of, it's not just stemmed from, a patriarchal society, but, it's kind of a worldwide classic thing. It's just like historically how things have been for centuries. Of course, some societies deviated from that and had the reverse role, but for the most part, it's been that. I think that it is nice. Personally, like for me, I used to be, keyword used to, be attracted to boys who needed babying, boys who needed like a mom, boys who needed to be coddled, and it put me in a very masculine energy because obviously you need more masculinity to take care of someone who's already masculine. So when I realized that, I kind of had to sit back with myself and I had to be like, where did this stem from? And it was pretty obvious for me, just kind of knowing how I grew up. Um, I was just always kind of parent. Even though I was a kid, I never really got to just be a kid. I mean, I had my moments, but for the most part, when I was at home, bitch, I started washing dishes when I was 4. Like, no joke. Like, I was out here So I just kind of know that I have that kind of strength in me. So it made me a little less picky, I guess, about who I would allow to have my time. And I didn't really realize these things until I just gave it a go with somebody. And even when I, was with somebody, and a lot of people talk about like sexuality and how it plays a part in it. And I heard this dude say that he's not dating bisexual girls anymore because he feels like, um, if a woman like has the desire for coochie booch, there's always gonna be a part of her that he cannot please, that he cannot fulfill. And I really just thought about that, and I was like, damn, like low key, that's fair. I'm not even gonna lie, that's fair. Like I don't even blame him for that. And I think for me, I kind of like in that moment had that realization where like, because all the guys I've been with have been like queer or bisexual, and I just thought about that because every time like I would sort of like fluctuate through my styling, or I'd be more feminine or masculine, like I kind of watch how they became softer in reaction to my masculinity, and I was like, oh, see, I ain't gonna judge you, sir, but that's not, no. Honestly, I love masculine men. Like, I like men who know what the fuck a man should be. And obviously, in today's world, very liberal, very, you have to be PC or it's not okay. A lot of people don't want to hear that, but I don't give a fuck. Like, I used to go for the bottom of the barrel. Like, I don't care. He has to have a job because, and that's another thing is like, as you get older and as you start realizing where you want to be in your life, like, if I ever date a man again, he has to have a stable job. He has to have his own place. He should have a car or at least be working towards having a car. Like, he should be able to take me on dates and pay for dates. Like, all the chivalrous things that I would expect somebody to be able to do, like, he shouldn't be like wanting to hop on that ship now that I'm in the picture. I don't have time. No. I like a lot of people like have this idea of like, oh, we're supposed to grow together and like do all these things together. Like, I'm not interested in it. I'm just not. Because personally, I just feel like it's disorienting. Like, if I'm over here growing and becoming myself, and now I have to consider what somebody else wants in terms of who I'm gonna be and who we're gonna be and all that stuff, like, I just like to take my life where it's supposed to go. And if anything happens in that space and I ain't going nowhere for a while, you know, it's okay. But I couldn't imagine like, ugh, years of my life like dedicated to somebody. Like, I just could not. Like, I love people. I love having friends. I love a little fun moment, but no, could never be me. Could literally never be me. I like I met this guy once who like complimented me, and he was saying like, oh, I find you, my type. I always love a woman that's strong, intelligent. He was always just gassing me up all the time. And I would just be there like, because I know, like, he just kept gassing me, and he was like, oh, I bet you never get a break around men, like, blah, 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 blah. He was telling me I was beautiful all the time. And, like, I don't know if I got angry or if I just got passionate, but I was just like, bro, I know. I know. Like, I always, like, had a big struggle with just knowing this because it just used to irritate me. I don't know if it's just because I grew up in the Midwest, but like as I got older, like even like when I was younger and shit, like that was like basically the only thing I heard from people. Like, oh, I see a distant relative, they see me for the first time in a while, like, oh my god, you're so big, oh, blah 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 blah, beautiful, blah blah blah. Like, oh, my mom would be like, oh my god, like you can do anything in this world, blah blah blah, you're beautiful, blah blah blah. Like it was the only thing I ever heard in my whole entire life. But then at the same time, like my daddy was a fucking prick, so he would never tell me that. He never told me that once in my life. He never told me I look good. He never called me pretty. He never did any of that. My dad never gave me compliments. Ever. He never tried to gas me up. He never tried to make me feel good about myself, like, ever. So that contrast of, like, you know, it kind of fucked with my head for a little bit. But then eventually I just got over it because that nigga can die. I don't care. Um, But I don't live in the Midwest anymore. Thank the fucking heavens. As much as I love where I'm from, I just that shit was just irking me, bro. Like I was just getting to a point where I started to feel like a fucking alien. Cause when like I don't know. I just felt like I was in the Truman Show or something. Like everything kept going the same, like all the time. Like no matter what I did, and I was just getting really fucking frustrated. And all the dudes that I would date, even the women that I would date, I was just like mega confused. I was like, what the fuck is wrong with y'all? And there's kind of like this stereotype of like people being nice where I'm from, and but that also comes with like a downside of like people being very like surface level, and like it's hard to build like intimate relationships with people who you didn't grow up with, or like you didn't have long spanning relationships with. And I knew I was never gonna have that where I was from because I moved around too much. Like I never kept like the same relationships. So I don't know. I definitely do cherish and value the people that I know, but I don't think it's a reason for me to have stayed, or to prolong my stay just because it was not giving what I need to give. It was not giving what I need to give. And this is a tangent, but it was just a few cultural shifts that I was noticing that I was just not vibing with. So I had to skedaddle. But now, bitch, I'm packing. I not eat. I got what you need. Yeah, we East Coast. From here on out, I don't give a fuck. Like the energy is different here. I'm not even popping yet, but like, bitch, it's different out here. So I will be staying. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. But you know, that's another thing too. It's like I honestly find dating repulsive. Like I want to say I've never been like on a date, which is cap, but like I've never like no dude has ever really like approached me like face to face, one on one, and has been like, "Wow, you are beautiful. Please, let me take you out to this dinner. I'll, come pick you up. Let me get your phone." Like, I've never had somebody like take the actionable steps to like take care of the whole thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? The most like an ideal date to me, like if some dude came up to me and was like, "Oh, let's go out," I would have been like, "Okay, first thing first. Like if we spending the whole day together, which would be crazy. Like, take me to the beach. Let's go back to the hotel. We ain't finna do none. Let's take a bath. Let's go get dinner. Let's go to the mall. Then drop me back home." Like, that's my fantasy. that's my fantasy. And honestly, I don't think that's a fantasy. I think that's a reality. And I don't think that's asking a lot. Just because you seen what's going on don't mean you're gonna feel what's going on. It's okay. Um, it's so okay. And honestly, some men deserve that. Like, we gonna get like a little TMI, but like into like sexual relationships, like I used to just be doing anything and everything just cause, and then it just hit me. I was like, ew. It just got to a point where I was just like, ew, lock it down. And she been locked down cause ew, repulsive. I had one guy, I don't know who he thought he was. And that was a thing too. Like dudes wasn't even fine for real. So I don't know what gave them that ego, that pride, but um something really did that. So I guess to put it in simple words, he just edged me and he did that. And he really did that. And I was like, hmm, okay. Best believe I got my revenge. Uh, but I just feel like if you even get close to getting a woman there, count your blessings. Count your blessings, because why would you do that? Yeah, he'll never see me again. That's crazy. Um, but yeah, like, in talks of like just masculinity and stuff, it's like if you honestly, like, I don't give a fuck if you paint your nails, if you wear eyeliner, whatever. But genuinely, if you see me holding my purse and I don't want to be holding my purse, and you don't think to grab my purse, you're you're giving gay best friend vibes. It's giving gay best friend. It's giving gay best friend. Now, I'm not saying men should hit women, but if you let me bitch you, is giving gay best friend. I'm genuinely I'm genuinely at a point where it's like if you are not fully in your masculine and you sprinkle your feminine a little bit, like I don't care. It's giving gay best friend. Don't do that. Like don't give gay best friend. And a lot of dudes is just comfortable with being wusses. Like there's a shortage of masculine men and it's just like it's blowing me, bruh. It's just blowing me like dead ass. Like I met one guy, maybe like I've met like maybe a handful of dudes who have been like 100% masculine and have just been like out upstanding guys, right? I know these guys, and it's just shocking to me that that those are the only guys that I know. It's just shocking to me, and I wouldn't date them or be with them um, just solely on the fact that I feel like you have to be a little like realistic with yourself, about yourself, and you have to know where you're at and where somebody else is at and where you guys just aren't clicking. Um, because like a lot of guys who are like super masculine and like are doing the correct things, oftentimes like get frustrated. They're like, oh, if I'm, doing all this XYZ, why am I still attracting the wrong people? And it's like people need to understand that you can be whoever you have to be on the outside, but if you're not aligned with yourself internally, it's not gonna be cute. Like it's really not. And when you're aligned with yourself internally, like you know what I'm saying, like you feel like when like a baby is learning how to walk, like you move one leg, you move the other leg. Like babies have a hard time doing that because they have to build trust with themselves. Their brains are fully capable of shooting those commands down to their body, but they have to know like, okay, when I shoot desire to go there, I know I can move my legs to get there. And I feel like when it comes to you and like your personality and who you are, and the people you decide to have in your life is kind of the same thing. Like it starts with like your moral compass. Like, do you really think it's okay um, to hit it and quit it on the first date? Like, is that really who you want to be? Is that really who you are? Do you think, excuse me, it's okay to really like a girl but still play games just because you want her to like you more? Do you think, what I'm saying? Like, you really gotta pay attention to, like, your actions to your desires and check if it's aligning with what you actually want, with where you're actually trying to go. Because a lot of people have what they want and they know what they want and they're, like, focused on it, but then they have their little monkey brain working at the side and she's just throwing that shit out of whack because you're not balanced in yourself. And I think that's just a huge reason why a lot of people are frustrated, and why we probably have incels, or like, excuse me, like borderline incels. And there's there's so much to like mix into the topic, but like, honestly, I just feel like I'm not, you know, one to be forcefully traditional, but I would say I'm highly traditional in the sense that I do expect the dude to open the door for me. I do expect him to pay for dinner. I do expect him to have his own ride. I do expect him to have his own money. I do expect him to have his own drive. Like, because to me, it's just that just says you are a person. You are a fully autonomous person. If you are lacking person in any of your own departments, then you're gonna look to me to fulfill that, and then I can't. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I just feel like it's better for you to already be a well-rounded person, as should I, and then we balance each other out. Um, but yeah, in terms of like all like these, um, clickbait phrases like 50-50, 80-20, blah blah blah. I had somebody, I've met dudes who wanted to do 50-50, and every time I'm in a 50-50 predicament, I know I got it for me. So I'm not really tripping about it, but I do in the back of my head devalue that man now, because I'm like, it don't just start with the money thing. It goes on to everything. Like, different cultures have different sort of expectations and shit. I already said that, but for me, if you come around with 50-50, I'm gonna do it, but like, it's a different thing. It's not the same as like me dating somebody. I'm not gonna think I'm dating you now. Now this is like, we're friends. Is giving gay bestie. Simply put, um, simply put, is nothing more complicated than that. So I had somebody propose to me like, oh, we're not gonna do 50-50, but we just should like, excuse me, you know, if I'm 30, you're 70. If I'm 70, you're 30. Like, we make up for each other where we fall. And at first, that sounded appealing to me. And then I was like, wait a minute. I'm not a man. Why? So, you mean to tell me if you 70 for 3 months straight, and then you turn to 30, I gotta be 70? I think I'm gonna be out the door. And I was. Um, yeah, no. I just feel like it should be 100% on men. And I grew up in a very traditional home, extremely traditional, like, extremely traditional. So that's just gonna be a very hard thing for me to shake. Like, in my core, all my uncles took me out for dinner. All my uncles took me out to lavish restaurants. All my uncles went shopping with me. All my uncles took me somewhere. My aunts would buy me shit. Like, I got spoiled. So when people don't do that for me, I'm like, I'm not entitled to it. Like, I'm not gonna be like, oh, like, really, like, you broke as fuck, like, you didn't buy me, you know what I mean? But like, in the back of my head, I'm always cool with that, because I know that's what I deserve, right? They didn't do that to all my cousins and all my siblings. No, that's not how it was for everybody. So I know that there is something about me that people want to cater to. Like, and I just know that. So when people don't do that, I'm like, either you're making a conscious effort not to, because some people, like, in their head will be like, oh, like, I'm sure they already get, blah, blah, blah. Everybody already calls them this and like pampers them. And this is that incel behavior. So like, I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna bite my tongue. I'm gonna hold, my pockets closed, because I don't wanna, gas them too much, or like, feed their ego or whatever. And I say that's the quickest way to fail at dating is if you think that because somebody already gets a lot of praise and like worship and attention, like that you shouldn't give that to them. Like, that's just weird. That's just weird, bro. Like, why would you do that? That's just weird. Not only are you literally trying to like lower somebody's like confidence, but like it's like you're trying to get them wrapped around your finger, because the idea of doing that is to like, not compliment them and gas them up as much so that they're always craving more from you. They're like, oh, why isn't this guy, doing this, that? All my other guys at this point would have done this for me. Like, it's just to breed insecurity in you. So if you ever like notice a guy not gassing you up and you should be gassed up, baby run. Baby run. Because no. Ew. And then the next thing is like female competition. I don't compete. I've never competed. Like, obviously when you're young and like you're a teenager and like you're 13, 14, whatever, like you're always gonna feel like some girl has it better than you or some girl's prettier than you. That's just a natural thing. It's a natural thing to feel insecure when you're young. Like, obviously, you're not even a fucking person yet. Like, you haven't even felt who you are for real yet. So that's not weird. But for me, like, I have never like felt in my soul that I needed to compete with somebody, like, ever. And I just feel like a lot of girls will like, I don't know how to say this, but like I've noticed, like, I've been in situations where like I've been cool with dudes. Like, I'm down to earth with people. Like, I don't switch up with anybody. So like I'm I swear I got this nasal congestion and it's blowing me. Um but I've never been like in competition with another girl. Like, I just can't. Like, girls who do that to me like are weird. Like, I just don't get that. So for me, like, a lot of girls will like compete over dudes. Like, they will genuine like, how could you ever let somebody have their ego stroked like that? Like, I could never. I would let, like, if he even starts entertaining other girls, I'm dropping him. Like, and I'm big on energy. Like, I be knowing shit. Like women do be having intuition and stuff, but like, girl, the moment I know another woman is in the picture, like, expect that withdrawal. You will feel me pull back because I'm not playing that. And I don't know what it is about dudes. Like, a lot of guys, who are like in this sort of like alpha omega mindset will be like, oh yeah, like all dudes cheat. Like, dudes cheat for status. Dudes cheat because they can, blah, blah, blah. And I hear that and I'm like, yeah, sure. Men are hardwired to cheat. They're literally supposed to impregnate women and make sure that the human species doesn't go extinct. So obviously, but like, are we gonna be so low IQ to say, oh, it's okay to cheat because cavemen? Are we really as a society gonna be that fucking primal? Like, let's be so for real. So I just feel like that's fucking that's a word I can't say. Because what are you talking about? Like, that's ridiculous. So literally, like, when I was in a situation where I noticed, and I've had this happen twice, where I noticed like he was still texting his ex, or the ex was still in the picture, or maybe, somebody he was working with. Like, I literally had this guy, like, he started working with this woman, and at first it didn't bother me. I didn't really care, but then he just started acting different after that, and I was like, I'm not one to like call somebody out on what they do. I'm a little toxic for this, but I'm gonna just start moving different. I'm gonna just start moving different. If you start talking to people, I'm gonna start talking to people. Like, I don't care. Because one thing about me is like begging somebody to stay is crazy. I've done that once ever, and that was the last time. Begging somebody to stay is crazy. Like, I can never really be like, oh my goodness, like, who is this girl? Blah, 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 blah. Why are you talking to her? Like, because then how do I look? That just gives man fuel. That just gives man fuel to be like, oh my God, she's crazy. She's jealous. Blah, blah, blah. Like, no. No. And also, just because, like, I grew up in an environment where closeness was prioritized, and I'm not saying it was healthy closeness, but I've just always had that sense of closeness with people who have been close to me. And so a dude coming in my life and becoming somebody that I care about or that I quote unquote love really doesn't mean shit to me. Like, it means something to me, but it really don't mean shit to me. Like, I feel like those kind of like commitments, that type of loyalty isn't something that you create. That's something that happens over time naturally, and a lot of guys get the impression that they can kind of like bamboozle you into loyalty or commitment or like having that same sort of like dependence and shit. I don't get attached anymore. I've gotten attached maybe once. Like, I'm telling y'all, like, I literally had one person where I made all the mistakes you're supposed to make, and it just became very clear to me, like, oh, it's really not that hard. Cause honestly, like, even like my sisters will tell me this, like, being nice to men does not exist. I used to be out here being scared to hurt a nigga's feelings. And it's mostly because I have brothers, because I have a baby brother. So, and I just have like a nurturing personality where I don't like to make people feel bad on purpose. Um, but you also have to know, like, people know what they're doing. Like, if somebody's just acting out of pocket, like, they're acting out of pocket. And the more that you let that shit slide, the more that they just keep doing it. And you just become one of their pawns. You just become one of like the people that they can mess around with. And once you become that person to them, you're not gonna undo that. So the best thing you can do is get the fuck on. Just get the fuck on, because as soon as a dude has categorized you into easy, um, good luck changing that. Like, just don't even bother. Consider him dead. Have his funeral. Go to the funeral. Blow his ashes into the sea, because it's wraps at that point.